Guys, welcome back to another episode on the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We got
because I have twin daughters.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too.
Buy me a new car for my birthday. Like, no, you have to earn your car. Go pay for it yourself. Which method works best, or based off.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode on the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have an awesome guest with us, Matt Paulson. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm doing much better now. You called me an awesome guest, so I appreciate you being so kind to me already.
I truly mean that. I know before we hit the record button, we were just catching up and talking, and you have a lot going on right now, just moving through the holidays. And that's why I really value and respect, just you spending close to an hour with us. I know the listeners are going to get a ton of value. So, thank you.
No, thank you for having me. I love it. I could talk all day long. And if there's something of value that can come out of a conversation, it's worth every second to me.
Love it. And I have to ask, is this your first time being interviewed by twins?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Because I have twin daughters.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. We're gonna have some fun.
And they interview me all the time. But the interview is slightly different. It's more of hey, Dad, why can't I do this? What reasons for making me come home at midnight tonight?
Yeah,
that's the kind of interview I get. Why won't you buy me a new car for my birthday? I'm like, no, you have to earn your car. Go pay for it yourself.
Yeah.
So yes, I get interviewed. They are now 19, and I've had twins in my life for a very long time.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah, I want to touch up on that. But let's kick this off. Chris and I do something a little bit different. I mean, we're weird guys. We like testing different things out. So we like having fun, just with like the guests, the listeners. So we either are going to give you a choice of playing this game that's called Never Have I Ever. So there's 6 random cards, or we could go the route and just do rapid dynamic questions. So totally up to you what you want to do here.
Well, I'm going to lean on you guys and your expertise and all of your other interviews.
Okay.
Which method works best, or based off of what you know of me already, what's going to be the most entertaining for you?
I'm going to say let's go with the game. Never have I ever.
Okay. All right.
Let's do it.
I've heard of this game, but I've never ever played it.
Okay.
So
we'll read you a card, and then all you have to either say is never, or I have never. That's it. Just 2 options.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of a boring guy, so we'll see.
Oh, that's fine. All right. First one is, never have I ever gone straight to work from being out the night before.
Never.
Okay.
Never have gone straight to work from being out there.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Never.
Yep. I have never.
All right.
I grew up very in a religious family, so very Christian, as well. And I ended up serving a 2-year mission for my church.
Gotcha.
In Brazil. So I lived out there for a while, came back speaking perfect Portuguese, which was great. And never have had a sip of alcohol. And
gotcha.
So my nights have, they're quiet. I've always been the designated driver or the historian, right? I remember everything that happened.
Right on. All right, second one. Never have I ever gotten drunk at my in-laws' house. So I think I already know the answer to that right there.
Never have I ever. Nope, never have I ever. See, I told you guys I'm boring.
It's okay. There's got to be some good ones.
We got some good ones.
Okay, never have I ever hooked up with someone and kept it a secret from my friends.
Let's see. Gosh, man, I got to go back a long time for this because you got to remember I've been married for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I'm 43 years old, so I've got to go back a long time in history. I believe so.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I have.
Okay.
I'm gonna say I have.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think we all have a little skeleton in our closet.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've never fully admitted to.
Absolutely. All right, next card. Never have I ever crashed a wedding.
Never crashed a wedding.
Okay.
All right.
Next one. Never have I ever kept the tags on a piece of clothing and returned it after wearing it.
Never have I ever done that.
All right.
I'm trying to think though, if there's ever been a time where I accidentally did something like that. I would never do that intentionally. And part of that, hey, I'm in the apparel business.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, I got to kind of hold myself to a certain code of ethics.
All right, last one, Matt. Never have I ever glued someone's office supplies to their desk.
Oh, never have I ever. However, I have had that done to me.
Okay.
So, back at I think about 5 years ago in the HYLETE office for April Fool's Day, we had come in one day and somebody who never admitted it, went around and they unplugged monitors and plugged them into the other people's computers.
Yeah,
glued some cups to tables and different things. They caused a little mayhem for sure.
Yeah,
that's funny.
That's hilarious.
But, it was all good fun.
Gotcha. Well, Matt, thanks for being a good sport on that, but you're off the hot seat with those questions.
Hey, I wish I had some better stories for you.
No worries. So let's kick this off. So we got a lot to cover in this discussion, and I'm excited about this. So you before we spoke, right? So you have twin daughters. You're a husband. How do you balance this all out? Just being an owner of HYLETE Apparel, and we'll talk more about that as well too. How do you just find that balance, and especially in such a challenging and conflicting year of 2020?
No, that's an excellent question. A question that I've been asked quite a bit actually, and I think each time I've been asked it, my answer is slightly different. But first off, is I believe on a personal level, you have to be aware that balance does exist, right? That your life does get out of balance and it can be in balance. So I think once you're aware of that, then you can place the priorities on what to keep in balance. Right. And what not to keep, in balance. And so for me and my priorities, I've always wanted to keep my family life, me being a husband, me being a father, as one of my top priorities of maintaining balance. And you're never perfect, right? You can't ever hold yourself to a standard of being perfect because you're always going to be out of balance. But if you have that awareness to begin with, then you're constantly analyzing yourself and can pull you back in. And then the other one is, for me anyway, it's been having a great relationship with my wife, because she's a way for me to maintain balance. And we do that for each other. We recognize in both of our worlds that we have tendencies sometimes to let things get out of whack, and we'll hold each other accountable for that. And there's times when I've been on the road too much or I work too long, and my wife's like, "Hey, sweetheart, come on a hike with us." And it's more of that. I'm busy. No, sweetheart, it's time. Excuse me. It's time to come on a hike, right? Or it's time to do something with the family.
Yeah.
And so it's having that accountability partner, which for me that's always been number one. My wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's amazing. And so guys, really quick, what we're doing here is Matt had to let out his dog. So if he goes in and out, that's kind of like what's going on.
Yep, she's in. My needy, emotional golden retriever is now back in the house, back at my feet. We are good to go for a little while.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Matt. So I want to kind of segue into, obviously like the empire you've built, as one of I think it's the founder of HYLETE, right? Apparel, which is a fitness and lifestyle brand. And the coolest thing that we found about this was that it all started with a call, right? So can you kind of take us back to that story with your business partner, Ron?
Oh, yeah, sure. So Ron is my business partner. We were both co-founders in the brand, almost coming up on 9 years ago. Yeah. And how he and I met was a cold call, right? And it's kind of a fun story for me to share because I feel like too many people allow themselves not to ask certain questions, right? And the answer to any question you don't ask is always going to be no.
Yeah.
Right. So why not put yourself out there and ask anyway? And this was more about 10, going on 10, 11 years ago. I had just moved to San Diego, had started my master's degree at San Diego State. And we had every Friday off of school and Tuesday. And so I made a goal that every Friday I was going to contact a local brand, a local company, and just schedule what I called an informational interview, right? Give me a chance just to go in there, learn about them as an individual, the person, the brand, and just kind of go from there, just to kind of get my feet in the water of the apparel world as I was transitioning from what I was doing before. And at any rate, Ron, he was the second person that I had called and met with, but it all started because of a cold call. I cold called him up and I said, who I was, told him I was a grad student, just wanted to come in and schedule, a 30-minute informational interview where I could learn more about him, his past, what he's done in his past, more about the brand that he was working with at the time, and to go from there. And so he graciously accepted, wanted to help out a young grad student, and go in there, and we chatted for about an hour and a half. And when I left, I was impressed with him and his background, and I recognized the company that he was with at the time was kind of a holding company for many brands. That it would be a good place for me. And so I straight up asked him, I said, hey, I know you don't know me aside from this interview, but I've got every Tuesday and Friday off of school. Can I just come in and work for free for you? And if you feel like I've got value down the road, great. We can talk about, a price tag later, but, let me, change, empty your trash basket if if you need me to on day one, until you can trust me to give me other tasks. And yes. And fortunately to his character, he paid me from day one, which was great. And then fast forward a year and a half, and that's when we partnered up together on HYLETE. But it all started because of just that one phone call, and then that one putting myself out there of that one question of, hey, let me hang around here a little bit longer and work for you and prove to you what I can do.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing that, Matt. And it's such a great teaching lesson for the listeners, just because, again, you had nothing to lose. And like you said, you just did a cold call, and all that could have happened was just a no. And, that's okay. But then again, you went the step above with like a giving heart to, be a giver, not a taker. You're like, how can I help this person out and really just, pour in my time and sweat equity, as opposed to, hey, pay me. You don't even know me if I'm good. So I thought it's a great lesson for people to know, because sometimes you do have to start as like an entrepreneur and just even do like internships and things like that to really learn and put in like your time.
Oh, totally. Whether it's a new client that you want to get, first off is, they're not your client now, and they never will be unless you ask, right? So that's kind of the first step. But then second one, it's, sometimes it's that, hey, the first one's on me, right? Yeah. Let me show you what I can do for you. Let me show you what kind of value I can provide you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, love it.
And I wanted to just really quick go back to what you said. To any asked question, it will always be a no, right? So you have nothing to lose. Like, where did you, I guess, like learn this from, like to not be afraid to ask questions? Because that's not the norm. Even when we were growing up in our upbringing and like the school system, it's like, it was always kind of like hesitation and like this fear of asking questions, because of just like, oh, well, if you get a C in 7A, then that's looking at failure. If you don't turn your homework assignment in, that's failure, right? So if you ask a dumb question, that's failure. So how did you kind of just like, I guess like break through like that kind of limiting belief to ask questions, to further explore and be curious?
Yeah, thank you. I've never been asked that question before. So thank you. No, excellent question. I think for me, I can go all the way back to when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. Back then, obviously a much different time than it is today. I still, one of the few people who had a paper route growing up, and I delivered newspapers. And back at the time, before internet, you had to go, the newspaper boy had to go door to door to collect the monthly dues from the people, and then you had to pay that, back to the newspaper company. And so I think part of that education came from being young, knocking on doors, being this 10-year-old kid saying, hey, pay me money. Right? I've been delivering newspapers to you for the last month. You owe me $4.75, I think is what it started off at for the month. Yeah, you owe me my $475. And at the time I'd see adults, like grown adults, like peek out, like shut the curtain, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Like, I see you. I know I'm only 10, but I know you're home, right? Pay me my money. And I think that was part of it, because it kind of did put you into an uncomfortable spot, being a kid knocking on a door of an adult and asking them to pay you money, even though they owed it to you. It's not like you were asking for a handout or charity, but that at least put me into that spot of being forced to talk to somebody, and then from there, I'd mentioned earlier, that I did a 2-year service mission for my church.
Yeah.
And when you're preaching the gospel and you're talking about, Christ and Christianity, imagine how many doors get slammed in your face, right? And you're there just to talk and talk and invite somebody if they, to listen to a message, right? And so both of those were probably 2 big pieces of my education that gave me that confidence in myself to say, hey, if they say no to me, it's not a definition of who I am, as a person, right? It just means that, they're off on a different path, right?
Absolutely.
And no matter what it is, even if Ron, my business partner, even if he just said no, Matt, right? It's like, okay, fine. It just means that we're on 2 different paths, and that's okay. But I'll keep on asking, and you can't let yourself be hurt, right? Because you are going to be told no, right? I mean, I'm sure you 2 have been told no 1,000 times, right? I know one of you has a fiance and the other doesn't. So, whoever does, they've been told no a lot.
Especially close to after 10 years.
Yeah. So you know what it's like.
Oh yeah. And I could definitely relate though, Matt. Just like because our father, when we were growing up, he was really big on just work ethic. He was a correctional officer at San Quentin State Prison, and he would always have us like go to the neighbors' houses and just go mow their lawn. So he taught us early on, just go make money, go talk to people, develop these skill sets. So I thought that's great. And plus, what that develops is confidence and humility. And I think if you have those 2 characteristics, I mean, you're ahead of the game. So I appreciate you sharing that. I want to talk about HYLETE now, and I'm actually wearing one of the pieces of apparel, the awesome jackets, and I've been a really big fan of your guys' apparel for many years. And I remember when we spoke and before we did the podcast, I was just right up front. I was like, I love your guys' stuff, and So what is it about apparel? What got you into that? What drew you to that? And what separates HYLETE from all the other fitness apparel brands out there?
Yeah, no, thank you. What got me into it first was my first company out of college. It was more of an opportunistic business that I had partnered with a good friend of mine on. It was all cleaning products, right? Nothing wrong with cleaning products, and after 4 or 5 years of doing it, businesses had kind of plateaued, and we were looking at things, and my biggest takeaway then was being your own boss didn't compensate for not liking what you did. Right. And because there's, again, nothing wrong with the cleaning world, right? There's a lot of money to be made in cleaning supplies.
Yeah.
But I didn't get excited going to work every day, even though it was our company. It wasn't something that I woke up just ready to go, right? And excited to tackle the day. It got very monotonous. And when I realized that, being my own boss didn't compensate for not liking what I did, that's when I transitioned. I went to San Diego to do my master's as more of just a transitionary period, because I knew, at least at the time, that I wanted to be involved with apparel. I got more excited about apparel, and even more specifically, I wanted to be involved with apparel that had some type of a sports or fitness flair to it. Right? I didn't want to go work for Gucci, right, or some fashion brand. That wasn't me either. Right. So, that's where I wanted to be involved in the sports and fitness world. I wanted to be involved with apparel, and those companies that I was talking to earlier on for those informational interviews, they were all apparel brands or had an apparel component, to them. And so, so I was able to get in there and get my feet wet, with the apparel early on. And then I got connected with Ron, and we started HYLETE. And for me, which is a blessing for me, is we are very much yin and yang, to each other. He drinks for me and he swears for me, because I don't do either of those things. But he's also a very good designer, right? And I think that's one of the first things that sets us apart is everything that we do is all designed in-house, from pen and paper on a pattern, all the way through the sampling process, getting the cut and the fit just right, until we get to manufacturing. The internet has made it so easy for some people just to jump in and call themselves an apparel company, because there's so many catalogs of just blank clothes out there that you can buy, slap a logo on it, and say, "Hey, hooray! I'm Matt's awesome clothing company."
Yeah.
And but that doesn't make you a clothing company, right? At least in my view. And so I guess to start, everything is designed by hand. Everything's cut and sewn in our factories. Everything is tailored for the athlete. We're not like an Under Armour, we haven't got to that size of a company where we're going to make a 7XL shirt, right? That's just big and baggy and bulky. We're not there. Everything right now is tailored for that athletic body, or that person who, wants to show off their biceps, a little bit more, right? Our shorts, for example, they come in various lengths, which I think we're the only short company that does that. We have everything from what we call our quad cut, right, for the guy who really wants to show off his quads, down to our long length, right, for the guy who's 6'4" and can't ever find shorts that are long enough for him. Right, he wants shorts that go down a little bit more to his knees. So we've got four different lengths of the shorts, for men. And so we really put a lot of time and attention into designing for our audience and for our community.
I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, dude, come on. I was literally watching this video, watching this interview, and you literally just pop up on the screen and interrupt it. Trust me, there's a good reason for this. Just hold on, and I'm gonna let you get back to that interview or that video. Trust me, all right? So the reason why I stopped you on this is because we're giving away our book 100% free. Okay, so if you're a frustrated fitness professional, you're not growing fast enough, you're looking to future-proof and recession-proof your business by adding online training, or if you're doing online training, you want to scale and grow faster, all you have to do is check out our new book. We're giving the audio away, we're giving the PDF away. So all you have to do is click the link below in the description box and get your free copy. All right, so now back to the video. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we could say firsthand, since we have the apparel here, how it fits is so unique. And obviously my biceps are bigger than Eric's, so it just fits a little bit better,
Clearly, I can tell, right? He had to cover his up today, for the listener.
That's right.
Somebody has a shirt on, somebody doesn't. Just saying.
There you go.
Doesn't have a little bit big biceps.
There you go. I got to give you a virtual fist bump for that.
It's always a twin that's younger. Always a twin that's younger giving me jabs.
Yeah. But
he had to fight for everything. From the moment of conception, he's had to fight.
Yeah, exactly. And on a more serious note, though, Matt, you guys have been at this 9 years strong with HYLETE. That's honestly impressive. So it's what does the next decade look like? Has the vision changed, or just how does that look?
No, the vision really hasn't changed. For us, it's still just growth, right? Growth and fighting for everything that we can get. We're still very scrappy. We're still we think we're a very young brand still, even though we are almost 9 years old. And it's a very noisy world out there.
Yeah.
And so we don't take anything for granted at all. And we continue to be scrappy and continue to fight, every single day to grow as a brand and not lose sight of our community and who we build product for. And so, the second we take our eye off of our community, I think will be the day that we lose. And so over the next decade, it's going to be, a lot more of the same. I told you earlier, I'm a very boring guy. and in business, to a certain degree, got to be a little bit boring.
Yeah.
And so it's about the grind, and it's about keeping our vision aligned with our community and doing our best to serve that community.
Yeah, I love it. And I haven't heard that word scrappy in a while,
Yeah.
but that's a powerful word. And it really is. It's about getting your hands dirty every single day, being in the trenches, and it's a never ending thing. It's playing the infinite game.
Yeah, and for us, I use scrappy a lot because it's we've never been funded well by some large VC firm or some independently wealthy guy like both Ron and myself. We don't come from money, and so it's not like we had $20 million just to throw at it to advertise everywhere or have some celebrity backing us to say push us or whatever. And so we have had to scrap for everything. I think most people, if they were to look at what our marketing budget really is, they would look at it and be like, holy crap. Like you guys grew with that budget? Like who's your VP of marketing? His name's Jamie Wardlow, by the way. He's great. And anybody listening, don't go recruiting. So a couple of shout outs to those guys, like our VP of product, Pete Dirksing. He's amazing. Amazing at what he does. Has a very high level of attention to detail, and very meticulous in the way that he goes through the design and manufacturing process. So yeah, we've got a great team, and but every one of them, scrappy, smart, and fight for every inch of ground that we can gain against the behemoths, in the world.
Absolutely. Well, teamwork makes the dream work. So I had another thing I want to ask too, Matt. I know some of the listeners are obviously probably, apparel, clothing line advocates, and just like, they want to start up something, maybe down the road, maybe it's right now. So what are 2 tips that you could give to an aspiring, apparel entrepreneur, especially currently right now in today's era?
Oh boy. Gosh, I have to boil it down just to 2 tips.
We can go more.
One, be sure of what you want, right? Be sure of what you want and go into anything. I mean, it's kind of just life advice, for any business. Go into it with eyes wide open, right? People get, they get glamorized by either apparel or success stories, and they forget about the grind and being scrappy with what it takes to really get with clothing brand, which is one of the big reasons why most startups end up failing. Right? A lot of startups and a lot of entrepreneurs, in a way, treat it like they're playing the lottery. Right? They think it's as easy as, going in and buying a lottery ticket and praying that, they're going to get the big break and walk away with the Powerball, win.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not that way. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous. It's a grind. As that entrepreneur, like you're doing everything, you're cleaning your toilets, you're changing your own, your light bulb, throwing out the trash, dealing with customer service to finance to design to importing and shipping and slapping shipping labels on stuff. Like it's not sexy, right? And, especially in the beginning, it is not sexy, and it takes a long time to get up and going. And so I think number one, go into anything with your eyes wide open, knowing it's going to be a lot more work than you initially think it is, right? You could have the perfect business plan, the perfect business partner, everything lined up on paper, but something is going to go wrong. Crap is going to hit the fan. It is going to be a grind, and it's a lot of work. So go into it. Number one, go into it eyes wide open. As I think would be the first one. Get ready for the grind, because it's a lot of work and it's a grind.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's good stuff.
I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer.
No. I mean, it's just it's the raw truth.
But it's real. It's real and it's honest.
Yeah. And I'd rather you be like 100% real and honest like that, because what we see too much on like social media and what people perceive entrepreneurship to be is not 100% true. Yeah. It's really kind of false in my opinion. It's like what you said. It's like doing the boring work and just literally stacking days and reps and sets, in the office, doing everything just like you do in the gym to build muscles. It doesn't happen overnight, No,
not at all. My favorite comment, that people make, my favorite is because it makes me laugh, about anything. This goes for the LeBron James of the world to, the most successful entrepreneur to, whatever. It's, they got lucky, or it's their DNA.
Yeah.
It's like, no way, man. No way.
No.
Like, even like back, this might be a little more controversial. So sorry. Even back in the Barry Bonds days, when he was accused of, steroids and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Like, hey man, like you realize how talented you have to be to still hit 100-mile-an-hour ball coming out with a little tiny bat.
Yeah.
You got to be really talented for that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? There's a lot of hard work and a lot of talent. Yeah, even though there might have been a little bit of help somewhere,
Yeah.
right? It takes a lot of talent, a lot of hard work to even be at that stage, right?
Exactly.
It's in my opinion, it's never luck. It's never luck. It's never DNA. It's a lot of work. Whether you're Mr. Olympia or whoever you are, it's a lot of work to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
I was going to say, Matt, like those shoulders are on fire, man. Pat yourself down.
Hey, thanks, guys. I like you guys. I do this often,
Yeah.
You make me feel good about myself.
Absolutely, man. That's what
we
this is
try
all
to throw
about.
in some cheesy humor and everything.
Hey, that's my brand as well. That's my lifestyle. All cheese.
Yeah.
Right on.
So I want to switch gears here, Matt, and talk about stuff like a little bit more like lifestyle, maybe just adversity, all that type of stuff, because I really like digging deep into that. So if I had to ask you, when was the last time you really had to dig deep and persevere the most?
The very last time, probably over the last like 6 months, or even like right now, right? I'm going into a different phase and and a different like transition in life, and it's forcing me to dig deep and to try to dig into deeper levels than I probably thought I had. Meaning and again, it's all good stuff. But back in June, I transitioned out of my day-to-day role with HYLETE and decided to just stay on the board. So I've stayed on the board of directors. I still consult on a few different projects. But transition out, and partly because I live in Utah, company's based in San Diego. It was time to try to transition out, but I also wanted to focus on a few other things, and it's interesting because you've got to at least like right now where I'm at is I'm in a spot where I don't necessarily have to launch something today to make ends meet, right? I'm still able to, an income, from HYLETE and from me being a board and a consultant and things. But I have this time on my hands where I want to start something new, right? And so with me, every day when you're not forced to do something or you don't have that, I don't know, that thing hanging over your head where you've got to show up, right? You reach kind of a different level within yourself where you realize you have to show up for yourself, not for anybody else, but because you don't want to stagnate, right? You don't want to stagnate because you want to continue to grow on a personal level. And so for me, I've kind of, have had some highs and some lows over the last few months, transitioning out of that day-to-day role, and all of a sudden having some of that time on my hands where it's like, okay, I don't really have to dive into this right now, but I need to, right?
Yeah.
And there's been days where I look back at the day and I'm like, holy crap, I let the day win on that one because I was lazy today, right? And I needed to dive in deeper, and it's about that every day that evolution of, okay, I'm not going to let the next day beat me up, right? No matter what, I've got to have my I think Andy Frisella said it best. I think he has his 5 critical tasks. I got to have my critical tasks, and if for no other reason than just for me. And so I don't know. It's kind of maybe it's a funny, not even no funny, not an interesting answer to your question about perseverance, but on a very personal level, it is because I've been in a situation where now it's like the only person I'm holding the only person I need to be accountable to is me. At this point, right? And sometimes it's easy to let yourself off the hook, and. Sometimes it's easy to not force yourself to do those things that you need to do for your own personal growth and progress.
Yeah, and I appreciate the honesty and transparency so much, because I mean, I can only imagine like being in the trenches like that day to day, building the company that you guys did at that level, and then, you know, kind of removing yourself and now kind of working on other like projects, but having to like figure things out on a day to day basis to keep you just like, you know, accountable and hungry and stuff like that. So if you don't mind me asking, like, what are some of those like those projects that like are just like really piquing your interest right now outside of like HYLETE?
No, that's a great question, and I'll probably be the first time that I'll share this with anybody in a live setting, you know, right here, you know. But you know, it's been in the back of my mind for years now, and even more so over the last 6 months. You know that that you know we're all on the. You know, sorry, I'm kind of going back and forth here a little bit, mainly because this is not rehearsed here. Like I said, this is the first time.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and I feel like every one of us, and I'm talking about, this is more for the men and the fathers, you know, in the room here. All of us are on this journey, right? You know, some of us are closer to the peak, some of us are closer to the valley, right? And every one of us are somewhere on that path, right, from the valley, you know, to the peaks, you know. And I'm somewhere, you know, in the middle of there, right? Obviously, I have a lot of my own personal growth that I need to attain for myself. But I feel like, you know, on a personal level, there's so many people that are on the path behind me that it's time for me to, instead of continue looking at the peak, it's time for me to turn around and extend a helping hand to those kind of following in my footsteps or following on that same path, right? And so it's time for me to, you know, give back, right? Almost be another voice of reason, love, kindness, generosity, you know, whatever on the hill. Be that leader to those people, especially in a world, you know, with this year. You know, it's been such a crazy world, a lot of turmoil out there, and there's a lot of for me, it's more about fatherhood. There's a lot of fathers who need guidance, who need help, who need just a good leader, you know, to help them out, who maybe didn't have a good role model, you know, growing up of their own father, right? Or it's the you know, for the mothers now, or it's that single mother that's trying to raise their kids that are trying to figure out how to fill that gap of that fatherhood. So at any rate, it's all about, for me, it's fatherhood, you know. And so I went on and I bought the website, the Fatherhood Tribe, and haven't done anything with it yet, so don't go there, right? But that gives you kind of an indication of where I want to go, you know, forward. But it's all about helping fathers and helping single mothers, you know, with ideas of how to help out with that, you know, that missing presence in their home. Because I firmly believe if we had more attentive fathers in every home in America, we wouldn't be where we are at today. You know, and again, not taking anything away from the mother side of it, but I don't, you know, I'm not a mother, right? I'm a father, you know, and I have a firm belief that, like I said, if there was a much larger fatherhood presence in the home, you know, things that, you know, have happened like in Capitol Hill yesterday, some of the riots in Minnesota this last summer, you know, wouldn't have happened, right? Because there would be more kindness, more accountability, more generosity, more service, more charity, you know, in the world, if we had a stronger household. So sorry to go off on a little, you know, tangent.
No, that's beautiful,
you know,
beautiful.
But that's where I want to head, right? And I want to be a voice, not the voice, because there's many voices and many great fathers out there. But I want to be a voice, you know, out there that people can turn to, you know, and help, because I've been there. I've been raising my kids now. You know, I've got my twins are 19. You know, I have a 6-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl, and you know, I've been doing this now for 19 years in a very crazy world with social media and cancel culture and, you know, bullying and people, you know, hiding behind keyboards saying just mean things, right? You know, and there's enough hate out there already that, you know, if I can help spread more, you know, kindness and love, and help fathers that, hey, they have a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old and they're scratching their heads thinking, man, how am I going to do this? Like, look at this crazy world we live in.
Yeah.
right? That I can be a voice for them.
Yeah, and that's beautiful, Matt. Thanks for sharing that. And honestly, I think you can create so much impact, and there's so many men to serve out there. And like I said before, we hit the record button earlier. Chris and I joined a all men's group through our church, and this is about 2 months ago, and we just see how much these men need guidance and help and just vulnerability, just empathy, compassion, all those things, to where they need leaders like you. Yeah. So I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You were my, like I said, you're my first go around at that quote unquote elevator pitch. So it wasn't quite
I'm
elevator
sold. I'm sold.
We must have been on a skyscraper for that elevator.
Sold, Matt. So I want to shift gears here too, and this might be a little bit of like a tough question to just take in, but I like asking this. If you had 5 years to live, what would you stop doing right now?
Oh gosh, I would stop any type of Netflix and binge. My most recent guilty pleasure was Cobra Kai.
Yeah. Oh man. Yes. Binge watched that in 2 days.
Yep. That was me. Fortunately, hey, I will say I was on my treadmill or my stationary bike.
There you go.
So I was at least moving my body. I wasn't completely, sedentary.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely one thing I would cut out. I would actually probably cut out some of my own personal exercise time. Right. I would do it almost the bare minimum to stay healthy, mm-hmm. right, and to continue to move well. But I would redirect some of that time into spending more of it with my kids and family. And I would probably turn off all Instagram, Facebook, social media. I'd probably just delete my accounts, and I would start, writing a book for my posterity, right? Yeah. Knowing that in 5 years my boy would be 11, and I would need to impart, years of wisdom for my boy on becoming a man, and I would dedicate all of that time to that instead of getting caught flipping that thumb up, scrolling.
Yeah, exactly.
And reading and being like, yeah, why did I waste 10 minutes doing that? Right? I could be so much more productive with that time.
Yeah.
So that's another one. So yeah, if you put in a nutshell, probably the two biggest ones: social media, delete it, and Netflix, delete it.
Gotcha. Right on. And Matt, is there a skill or a habit or system that you've implemented this year that's led to a more fulfilling lifestyle that you live day to day?
Well, this year is only 4 days old, or well, I guess what?
Oh, no, I would say 2020. 2020.
Let's see. No. With as I had mentioned earlier, some of my struggle over the last year of transitioning out of the day-to-day at HYLETE, and kind of starting to create some new habits and dive into that. Part of that was a little bit of that new struggle, of finding new things to keep me going and keep me motivated. Fortunately, I was blessed to be able to spend a lot more time with my kids. So I took advantage of that. So if anything, coming back and learning from that was, recognizing that an hour extra of work versus an hour of playing, talking, spending time with my kids, has far more value in that than that hour of work, right? And so I recognize that not just because I was able to be smart enough and do that before, right? I recognize that afterwards. Right after I came out of the day-to-day, which is something that I wish I recognized before, kind of part of that balancing question that you had asked earlier. But that's something that if I could encourage anybody who has children or loved ones, fiancés, it's, hey, invest in that relationship. I'm not saying be lazy in your profession and what you do, but when it comes time, there's the law of diminishing returns, right? That I'm sure you guys are familiar with. Yeah. Where's that point of diminishing returns in your own day, and learn when to turn that off and invest in the relationships, that you have with loved ones and children or even parents and things like that, So if anything, that's one of the big things that I've learned, you know, is when to recognize my own diminishing returns and invest that time in something that's more long lasting and has better return and better value.
Yeah. And that's beautifully said. Honestly, I think you're probably the first guest after close to 200 people have interviewed that had said something like that. And the terms of just like the law of diminishing returns of like grinding, just like 1 more hour, 2 more hours, you know what I mean? And just like, no, enough's enough. It's like you've had a good day. So like go invest in your relationship with either your like significant other or your kids, you know, there's more to life than just grinding and work.
Yeah, be willing to let go. You know, I had a similar conversation with a sister-in-law who is going back for another degree, who's always been kind of a straight A student, but you know, she now has some grandkids and her own kids, and I told her, I said, listen, you know, a B plus versus an A, you know, that's, you know, a couple hours worth of work, and a B plus isn't going to make you a better teacher, right? She wants to go be a teacher, right? You know, B plus versus an A is not going to make you a better teacher, you know, but you know, who you are as an individual makes you a better teacher. You know, I said, so, you know, leave those 2 hours off the table and spend them with your grandkids, right? Spend them with your own kids or spend them doing something else, you know, because again, in my view, you know, you don't need to be straight A's to be a great teacher in her profession, right? So take those, you know, those 2 extra hours, accept a B plus, but invest in something that's going to bring you and somebody else more value.
Yeah, that's well said. Matt, we're coming towards the end of the show, and you know, we could be going on for more hours just talking to you, just so much, you know, knowledge, wisdom, and just good stuff. So before I ask the last question, I want to just personally just commending you, you know, for your time today, just for coming on our show. I really appreciate that. And just for everything that you're doing within the scope of HYLETE, your vision, just everything that you got going forward. And I just want to wish you more success as well, too. And just to your family, just health, wealth, love, and happiness. So thank you very much.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate it. You know, anybody who wants to sit here and listen to me talk, you know, should be commended themselves. So thank you. You guys are great. I've had a great time.
Thanks, Matt. So my last question is, what does it mean to Matt Paulson to live a dynamic lifestyle?
No, I love it when you guys put me on the spot for these questions. They're great. A dynamic lifestyle. You know, for me, a dynamic lifestyle, you know, means to, I think I heard it one time before, it's, they called it ABC of something, but adventurous, brave, and courageous, I think is what they stood for, right? And that would apply to every aspect of your life, whether it's, you know, the personal side, the relationship side, the business side, you know, constantly striving to be your best self. And being brave, being courageous, especially in today's world. You know, it's so easy to hide or to you know, keep your voice silent. But you know, so being dynamic and being your best self, and is being adventurous, brave, and courageous.
Love it. Appreciate that. And that's exactly what you're doing on your new venture, Matt. So I appreciate you sharing that. So where can the listeners follow everything that you're going to be doing with some of the new ventures and, you know, HYLETE? And is there anything we can support you on right now with?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. I appreciate it. And this is just something that we never really covered, but maybe the listeners don't know. But at HYLETE, if you're a fitness professional or if you're part of the military, we do extend good discounts. So I believe the base discount is 30% off retail. And that's just free to get an account. You just have to go to HYLETE.com and look for the certified trainer or the service or military link and sign up and create an account. And you'll automatically get that discount. So for HYLETE, you can follow HYLETE at Train HYLETE on Instagram, or hit us up on the website, of course. We also have a expert voice blog that's created by fitness professionals, and which would be great to get you to contribute to at some point. Right and me personally, you can follow me on Instagram at Matt Paulson. MattPaulson, and soon you can follow me at anything on the Fatherhood Tribe. That will be coming soon. Now now you two have to hold me accountable for it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
No more, you know, putting it up.
Oh yeah, we'll hold you accountable to that.
Nope. Yeah, I think I froze on you for a second, guys.
No,
I apologize.
Fine. We're just saying we'll definitely hold you accountable to that.
Yes, please do. But other than that, though, no, you guys have been great. The listeners have been great. I appreciate their time. Time and health. I've said it before. Time and health are two of our most important assets.
Yes.
And the fact that they spent this time with us, I sincerely appreciate that as well.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Matt. Appreciate it. And it's just been an honor having you on the show to spread your wisdom, your knowledge. So it's been great. And we'll have all of that linked up in the show notes where you guys can follow Matt and HYLETE. So Matt Paulson, once again, thank you so much for your time. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
Yep. Thank you too. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Until next time. And tell me that was not a good interview right there with Matt Paulson. Come on, give me some thumbs up. Drop me some comments on there what you thought about that interview. That was super motivating and inspiring. Just think about it. Matt started off literally going to his business partner of HYLETE and asking him to do a free internship. And then later on, that turned into a really good relationship, and now they're business partners, and they've been at it for over a decade. And think about the brand HYLETE has built. All just from just going there with a giver mentality and not a taker mentality. That was a huge takeaway for me. So again, post a comment below on what your biggest takeaway was with this interview with Matt Paulson. So the next thing I want you to do is I want you to watch this 3-part series right here. If you are a fitness professional and you're looking to go online, there's a 3-part series we did on like how to set your prices, what's the best training software to use, and then another one I think was like how to find like your ideal avatar. So it's a nice little short 3-part series, very valuable. So make sure to watch that series right there. And other than that, guys, thank you guys so much for the support, and we'll see you next time in the next video.